The Dewang X4 3D Intelligent Pen. Epic name, right? Well, the naming aside, I was approached by a representative from Dewang about using their 3D pen. And I have had some bad experience before with a no-name brand pen, so I wasn't really stoked initially. But after watching people like Rainbow Girl, 3D Pen, a few others, I thought that maybe I can be as cool as they are and do like really cool stuff. First, a small introduction of the pen and what's included. So I got a neat package of a bunch of all of these plastic here. It's really a lot. They are all 1.75 millimeters, so you can use regular spools from filament as well. And we'll show that as well. The pen is around 19 millimeter in diameter, 180 millimeter tall. It's quite lightweight, 852 grams. It's also powered by a 1 meter USB cable. There's no adapter included. And you need a 5 volt 2 ampere input, so you have to get that yourself. On the top, the pen has a filament port and a power slot. It also has some ventilation holes at the bottom and at the top, but there's no fan included. There's a select button on the side and a forward-backward buttons on the other side, which are more or less a multi-function button. Then you also have the LCD display that does the jobs of displaying what you are selecting and asks for temperatures and speeds. So I'm not sure what the nozzle is here, it's some sort of plastic, but it keeps the whole printing pen quite cold, so it's very comfortable to hold for longer times. Alright, and the pen starts as soon as you plug in the power. So you'll see the display powering on. It shows the logo, so all you have to do is select, and you can click to choose PLA or hold it in to choose ABS. I decided to run mostly PLA in my studio just to keep it a little bit more safe for me, which is always nice. So the pen heats up fairly quickly, nothing fancy here, it just takes a few seconds. You can then change all the different modes using the select button. You can click low, medium or fast, all are nicely tuned. I never had a scenario where I felt that I need to run faster or slower, so that's a really good sign. And when you're loading a new strip of filament, you take one out, you insert it, and it actually takes a little bit of a while because the gears are around 8 centimeters away. So when you're changing colors, you need to make sure that you extrude the old color first or while loading new one. And speaking of changing colors, all works very well, and with any auto nozzle you do get some small of color contamination. And while using the pen, yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, I end up switching speeds though, but I mean that fast is like the infill for a 3D printer and low is more or less like the outlines and works for good small details. If you really need to do some large parts, you can double click to have it keep feeding, otherwise you have to hold it in. And then you just click again to stop it. You just want to make sure that you keep watching your filament, because when you start to run really quickly, it runs out pretty fast. So as I said before, you can just use the spool as well, as long as it can rotate freely. And with that said, I think it's time to make a pretty awesome montage. Okay, that took a lot of time editing, but I hope it was worth it. So just to summarize the pen and my experience with it, first of all, I'm no professional. I will give this some more time and I will try it out and have some fun with it. Maybe do some like outside graffiti, because you can plug this into a power bank, which is pretty cool. But I realized that I can't give you any like good tips on drawing and stuff like that yet, maybe later. But I think that you should check out the channels that I linked down below. They are much more into this stuff and they're much better talents of actually using the pen and drawing and stuff. I think my price here was pretty cool, but it's what I can do. So I also want to say that I discovered that there are some bad reviews on the Amazon link that I will provide down below as well. So I read through them and it seems like it clogged. I did have a clog as well myself, and I think the problem with 3D printing pen is that it's almost the same as a 3D printer, but it's much more difficult to do any clogs on. So for example, when I open this up, I can get access to the hot end and stuff like that, but I can't actually do anything here. So I used my printer kit and tried to unclog it from inside, from the end, and that didn't work. So I actually had to open up the whole pen, which was it turned out to be much more difficult than I expected. So you had to move some stuff around, and as you see here in the picture, it's not really easy. So I mean, I fixed it in the end. It was just heating it up and dragging out the filament, but getting access to the tube where the filament is, that's really the hard part. So I think that it's difficult to say that I can recommend this product, because it will probably clog, because most filament extruders do sometime. And when it clogs, you should have access to everything a little bit better. So I think that's the downside of a 3D pen. And as long as you're okay with maybe using some oilers and stuff to make sure that you have low friction, and I think that's could be an option. But again, it's very difficult to say. So I think the 3D pen is a really cool idea. It's good to you can add some details to your prints and stuff like that, especially when you have a lot of filament lying around. But using it as a multi-tool, printing like kilos and kilos and kilos, switching colors all the time, you will probably end up with a clog. And when you do, you'll have to spend some time with it to unclog it, unless you can get it from like a supplier who can help you out. But that's the only thing I need you to be aware of if you're gonna buy a pen, because it is a lot of fun with a pen, but it will probably clog once in a while. What more can I say? I think that's all. Thanks for enjoying this video, which you hopefully did. And make sure to stay tuned, because I will have much more content that is like working around 3D printing, which I think will be really exciting. Maybe some of the stuff is just not interested at all. But the fun thing is that you have all these like playlists, so you can easily go into 3D printing if you want to do that, or VFX if you want to do that, or just tech. Like this is probably 3D printing and tech. And maybe some design, maybe 3D printing tech design. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you for that. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good night. Bye.